Melania Trump breaking records in the way that you don't want to break records. Historically awful she is. The American people really don't care for her.
Andy, the war is over. This is so exciting. What is happening? I'm so stoked that we're not at war anymore.
Complete victory for the United States. I
I
don't
don't
know.
care who won. I'm just so glad that it's over.
Okay, well, I
And
hope
and
that
the
you're being
Strait is open and we're gonna get cheaper oil now.
I hope you're being sarcastic because we're not in any of those places right now. It
Oh
looked
shit.
like for like a day, it looked like we might be, but everything is falling apart tonight, especially. Real quick, I'm gonna try so hard not to make fun of Trump for tacoing. Like every now and then he tacos on something, but it's good for us. Like we didn't want him to do bad things, so we should all be happy that he decided not to do the bad things he was threatening to do. Um, I've already seen some Democrats on TV that are like basically calling him a chicken, saying that he didn't have the guts to do it. And it's like, what are you doing? Are you trying to get him to do bad things? So now, some of this is just funny, and I'm gonna giggle my way through it. But overall, I just want to make it clear that like it's a good thing that we didn't, I don't know, end a civilization on Tuesday.
Very good.
So, and on that note, we're gonna back up to Tuesday morning and just kind of cover. So, leading into Tuesday, Trump had a Tuesday night 8 p.m. deadline. I went to bed Monday night, and I think we recorded Monday night, and I said
Hmm.
90% chance taco. And you said
Hmm.
70% chance taco?
I don't remember.
I think you said 70. For those who
Okay.
don't know, taco stands for Trump always chickens out. So we thought he wasn't really going to go through with it. But
We were right.
so I'll tell you this, I doubted us. So this happens so often, but we recorded Monday night. Tuesday, I took my kid to school. Then I come home and I start editing our podcast. And the first thing I see is a new Trump tweet. And I was like, oh no, like me and Docs are going to be terribly wrong because it looks like he means business. Um, First thing Tuesday morning, here's the Trump tweet. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. That sounds serious. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily, that's a hard word to say, wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world, 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. He keeps blessing the people of Iran and saying praise the ayat or praise Allah. I don't understand what
Yeah.
he's doing there. But that sounds serious. A whole civilization will die, never to be brought back again. That sounds exactly like a war crime. And on a quick note, normally when people like commit a genocide, the hardest part, like when you're if you actually tried to try them in the international court, you have to prove that they had the intent to like basically erase a whole civilization. Trump
Hmm.
right there, like if he would have gone through with it, like he just spelled out his intent. And I saw a lot of lawyers saying that.
Hmm.
Seems serious. So we all had to sit on that all day long. I will say Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, like all the online formerly MAGA influencers, all they were pissed about this. They were basically saying, "What is he doing? Like he's threatening war crimes. Like this isn't the way to do it." Megyn Kelly, she was the harshest, and she was just like, "I want this to fucking stop. Like he can't keep doing this." So more power to him. But he took it all the way. First of all, real quick, did you see that tweet Monday morning? What were your thoughts? Or
I did
Tuesday
not see
morning?
that tweet. I don't think I saw that tweet Tuesday morning.
Did
No, I don't.
you haven't seen it at all?
No, no. I've kind of been laying low on the news
Okay.
lately.
Well, the people that, and I think it's a small percentage of America, but people that pay attention to this stuff, all day Tuesday were like hanging by a thread after that tweet. It was very scary. Um, he goes all the way up till like an hour and 20 minutes till the deadline. And as it kept getting closer and closer, it was like, oh wow. And you never know if what you're seeing on Twitter is true or not, but I'm seeing people posting flight radars and it's showing that all of our refueling tankers are in the air, which would mean that we have B2s and B1s like on the way. And it seems like this is about to get real. And then we did luck out. About an hour and 20 minutes till the deadline, we get this tweet from Trump. Based on conversations with Prime Minister, I'm going to say this wrong, Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off on the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran. I subject the Islamic Republic of Iran, hold on, and subject to the Islamic people of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. He goes on from there, but he granted a 2 week ceasefire on the condition that they open the Strait of Hormuz, fully open it, and he said at the request of Pakistan. So, okay, then, and they wanted so badly, they were almost begging for Iran to say we want a ceasefire, because Trump doesn't want to say that we're the ones asking for a ceasefire. For the last 2 weeks, we have been the ones asking for a ceasefire, and Iran has been like, nope. And before anybody says anything, like, we've won militarily. Like, we have. Like, our military is undefeated. The deal is, though, like, in Vietnam and Afghanistan, like, our military won every battle. But you wouldn't say that we won the war. Like, winning the battle is not the same. The analogy I used today with a buddy, and it's the one that makes the most sense to me, but it's like if I went up to pick on somebody smaller than me and I started punching him in the face. And I hit him in the face 3 or 4 times, and then he grabs my nuts, just got him in a grip. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to keep punching him in the face until he lets go. And I eventually wear myself out. I can't throw any more punches, and he's still got a hold of him. Eventually, I would be like, dude, stop. Technically, I won that fight. But did I really? I'm the one who's asking to stop. That's how I feel like us and Iran is right now. Like, we're beating the shit out of them militarily.
That's a good analogy. Yes.
It is. The Strait of Hormuz is getting us by the nuts. Like, that's exactly what we're dealing with here. Anyhow, he says that Pakistan requested the ceasefire, and he's going to do it if they agree to open the Strait of Hormuz. Sounds perfect. What did Pakistan actually say? Let's take a look here. The tweet from Pakistan. Diplomatic efforts for peaceful settlement of the ongoing war in the Middle East are progressing steadily. So we're making progress strongly and powerfully, with the potential to lead to substantive results in the near future. To allow diplomacy to run its course, I earnestly request that President Donald Trump extend the deadline for 2 weeks. And then he says, basically, he goes on there. But he says, Pakistan's been the meteor and things are going really well. And because of that, Pakistan thinks the deal can be reached. He's asking Trump, please extend it for 2 weeks. So, okay, that makes sense. Trump said Pakistan. It turns out they did. Cool. It didn't take 30 minutes for reporters to realize, and I never knew you could do this, but you can edit tweets now. That's one of the things that Elon did, is made it to where you can edit a tweet. Okay. So
you can edit your own tweet, or you can edit other people's
You can edit your own tweet. Okay. So if you post something, back in the day, if you posted something and you need to edit it, you just had to delete it and start again. Now you have the power to edit it. But Elon, in full transparency mode, thought that, hey, there should be a button you can click so you can view the edit history of a tweet. You can see where it started as, and then what got edited and what it is now. Somebody clicked, within 30 minutes of all this happening, somebody clicked on view edit history. This is interesting real quick. You'll have to check this out.
So, Shabazz Sharif.
Now, that top tweet is what it ended up being before the edit. The bottom one was the original version. Notice that top line there. What does that say?
Diplomatic efforts for peaceful settlement.
Above that, underlined in red.
Oh, draft. Pakistan's PM message on X.
So, hold on, let's stop. So that's the only thing that got changed, was at the top, it said draft Pakistan's PM message on X. And people are saying, okay, there could be a reasonable, like, he had his staff put together a tweet and then they sent it to him and he copy and pasted it, but he accidentally copied the draft part. That makes sense, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, what's weird about that is, if you live in Pakistan, if you're part of the Pakistani government, do you refer to your PM as the Pakistan PM, or do you just refer to him as the PM? It would have to be somebody outside of Pakistan that sent this tweet. Or you wouldn't say Pakistan PM's message on X. You would just say, here's our PM, or here's so-and-so's. The fact that it says Pakistan's PM's message on X led people to think, okay, who wrote this and who sent it to him?
Okay. Now it's coming through. So you're saying that, it could be somebody from our administration wrote this out, sent it to him.
So
as a
believe it or
draft
not, earlier today, CBS is owned by the Ellisons, and you would think in Trump's pocket, they actually confirmed that this tweet originated in our White House. We needed somebody. We couldn't just have Trump back down on his own. We needed somebody to ask, somebody to say, "Hey, negotiations are going well. We're requesting that you give us 2 weeks," and then Trump could say, "Ah, well." Since they're asking for it, I guess we'll give them 2 more weeks. So our White House wrote this tweet and then sent it to Pakistan and said, please post this. And then our White House said, oh, well, since they're asking for this ceasefire or the 2 week extension, we'll go ahead and do it for Pakistan.
Okay. You think they're like rewarding him for ending the war?
Rewarding who?
Rewarding Trump for ending the war? They're like, yeah, you ended our war, so we'll post this for you.
No, you mean for the one of the 8 wars that he stopped was
Yeah,
Pakistan
yeah,
and India?
yeah.
No, I think overall Pakistan did not want us to go balls to the wall on Iran. Like they were
Okay.
more than happy to help get a 2 week extension so we can figure this out.
Do
But
you think we're gonna figure it out?
no, I don't.
Yeah.
It's not heading in that direction. But we're gonna get to there. So much has developed since then. But that's the first part that just makes this a funny taco is Trump was looking to somebody please ask me out loud for a ceasefire for an extension so I can say yes, and nobody would, so we had to write a statement and send it to Pakistan and said please post this so we can point at it and say this guy says that negotiations are going well. By the way, Iran that whole night was like, what negotiations? Like we're not talking. Like we've put out our 10-point plan. That is all we're going to do. So, as this was all going on, Iran is claiming there's been 0 negotiations. Pakistan reposted a message we wrote saying the negotiations are going pretty good. Again, it sucks to say I believe Iran, but like they've been pretty straight the whole time that like here is our 10 points. Like we want this or else we're going to keep going. That's what they've been saying.
Yeah.
Trump actually said in a tweet that he said that we're going to start negotiations based off their 10-point proposal, which, Jesus, their 10-point proposal is the one we read on our last show.
Yeah. It's all good for them. I mean, and it doesn't seem like they're gonna back down from it. So,
Here,
and
hold on,
the
let me read
US
this
isn't.
real quick. He
Go
said,
ahead.
this will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2 week period will allow agreement to be finalized and consummated. So he said there that the 10-point plan, we're pretty much already there. We've already agreed on most of it, and there's a couple points left. For the fun of it, can we review what the 10-point plan was real quick?
Go for it.
So
All right.
we spent time on this last show, but I'm going to speed through this. The U.S. must fundamentally commit to guaranteeing non-aggression, and number 2 is continuation of Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz, acceptance that Iran can enrich uranium for its nuclear program, remove all primary sanctions on Iran, remove all secondary sanctions on Iran, and all United States Security Council resolutions, which basically more sanctions, and all the International Atomic Energy Agency is the IAEA, and all their resolutions on Iran's nuclear program. So all sanctions and resolutions, take off of them, is those last couple points. Compensation payment to Iran for war damage. And nobody knew at the time, but it looks like that's going to be a toll for the Strait of Hormuz. With withdraw of U.S. combat forces from the region. They want them out of the whole Middle East. Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. They want them out of there. Ceasefire on all fronts, including Israel's conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Which is interesting because the Pakistani PM, his tweet also said, including Lebanon. So everybody
Right.
agreed that Lebanon was part of this. But Trump, the last episode, we said that like there were maybe 2 of the 10 points that maybe we could work on with them. The other 8 are just non-starters. Trump said it's pretty workable. We've already agreed on most of it, and we'll iron out the last couple. So it appears we are working on their 10-point plan. Now, once
Okay.
once America realized, and that 10-point plan's been out there for like a week or 2. The funniest part about all this. This is a quick side note. Ryan Grimm from Breaking Points and Drop Site News, like 3 hours before the taco, He put out a little video on X using his phone and said, Trump has an easy way out of this. American media has not been covering the 10-point plan that Iran released. He could just claim it's a brand new plan that they just offered him and then say, yeah, we can take this and work on it. And then like 3 hours later, Trump did exactly that. And our
Huh?
media, for like the next day, our media was like, oh, we don't know about this 10-point plan. What could be in it? Like, we haven't seen it. And it's like, their government's been giving it out for the past couple of weeks, but our news, like, they won't take anything the Iranian government puts out for whatever reason. So
Interesting.
only thanks to like drop site news do we know what they've been asking for this whole time. So
Yeah, independent media is so much better and so much more on point than
in
the mainstream media these days.
in time, especially in times like these with conflicts overseas, because like Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill from Drop Site News, they're getting accused of being like foreign agents, and it's like, oh, they're spreading Iranian propaganda, and they're basically saying no, like Iran is putting out statements, and we are relaying those statements to the American people. They might be lies. Our own
Yeah.
government lies to us. Iran's government's probably lying, but what
Mhm.
their government is officially saying is something we should all know. Even
Yeah.
and then you can make up your mind of whether it's a lie or not. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think it was roughly Wednesday night, our media started putting out what the 10 points were. And since then, Trump has been saying, no, those aren't the 10 points. They gave us a different 10 points. The 10 points that they gave everybody else, they're lying. That's not the 10 points I agreed to. And our media is saying, okay, can you please show us the 10 points that you agreed to? And he's like, no, I'm not going to show you the 10 points I agreed to. And it's like,
He's
hold
such-
on. If you've agreed to 10 points with them, why can't we see it? And he won't. He's saying it's top secret. We can't see it. Iran is openly saying, here's the 10 points he agreed to, which he
Mhm.
hasn't fully agreed. He didn't say this is the deal. He said it's workable. It's a workable base to start negotiations. I'll make that clear.
Okay.
I'm I'm inclined to believe those are the 10 points. And maybe we have no, I'll bet money he has no intent on really working on this. If anything, this is a 2 week pause so we can get our troops straightened out and stuff to continue this
Yeah.
fight. I got to think. Also, the Strait of Hormuz opened up a little bit. It partially opened on Wednesday after he announced a 2 week ceasefire. And they basically said, hey, any ship coming through has to coordinate with our military and work out logistical, what do they call it? The technical and logistical needs, which everybody's saying is code for they got to pay the toll to go through, basically. But
Yeah.
I believe on Wednesday, like 8 to 12 ships got through the Strait of Hormuz, which is more than normally it was like 100 a day. And like we've been down to like two a day. So
Yeah.
jumping up to like 8 to 12, like, okay. And it's 8 to 12 depending on what you read. But some ships got through. It appears they all paid the toll to go through, but they got through.
But for which countries were they going to?
And most likely all going to like China, Pakistan, like which
Russia.
Trump's not lying. Like we don't really get our oil from the Strait of Hormuz. Now Europe does, and it appears France is jumping in really hard on Lebanon's side in this whole issue we're about to talk about. But it appears
Okay.
that it's I'll bet
As they should.
part of it is because they want to do the right thing, but part of it is because they're trying to gain favor with Iran to be able to get some of that oil out of there. Um, Anyhow, the strait was open for about a day. Now, the 2 points of the deal that seem to be the biggest problem is that after it was announced that this includes Lebanon, apparently Bibi Netanyahu called the White House freaking out. People in Israel are pissed at Trump. They're pissed at America. They want to keep fighting the war. They're saying that Bibi let them down by letting Trump, do a ceasefire. So they're
Mhm.
pissed. Bibi's pissed. Bibi calls Trump. They talk on the phone for a half hour, apparently. And afterward, Bibi and Trump agree that Lebanon is not included in the ceasefire. Now, Pakistan's PM, the one that brokered all this, came out and said, no, my tweet specifically said including Lebanon, and this is what we all
The
agreed
tweet you
upon.
wrote.
Yeah, exactly. But and he has said on camera and like in statements, he said it both ways. Yes, it included Lebanon. All sides agreed on this. Bibi didn't want to do it, and Trump is siding with him. So
Hmm.
Beirut, Lebanon, most of the strikes at first were in southern Lebanon. And you can make an argument that in southern Lebanon, there's definitely Hezbollah down there. Like now, it sure looks like they're striking civilian areas, but they claim that they claim that's where Hezbollah is hiding. So, you got it. You got to hit them. I don't agree with the whole hitting human shields thing. I just don't like it. But And the next morning, at Tuesday night was the 2 week extension, and then Wednesday morning, Israel goes ham on Beirut, which Beirut's not anywhere near. It's not in southern Lebanon, and it is a big city inhabited with a lot of the civilians. Like that's what's there.
Hmm.
Um, Within the first 10 minutes, there was something like 150 strikes in the first, like surprise attack. Within 10 minutes, 150 strikes. I put together a little video. I think it's important that we watch this. It's not easy to watch. At the beginning, there's a little girl crying. I'm just going to tell you. It's important that we watch this because this is right at the beginning of that strike, and it's been happening now for the past 3 days. But here's a taste of what's going on in Beirut right now.
Ja. Fast داره با. یا. نه. Dad, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Okay.
That's a small sample of it. I mean, they are making Beirut look like Gaza right now. They're just flattening everything. Those were apartment buildings getting hit. Um, I saw a video tonight of two rescue workers, and they were pleading. They were like, Hezbollah's not here in Beirut. They're in South Lebanon. Like, this is women, children, civilians. Like, what are you doing? And they were talking about women and children they've been pulling out of the rubble. It's not good. Okay. They're doing to Gaza, or sorry, they're doing to Beirut what they did to Gaza. Total crap.
Who's going to put the leader of the dog force in jail?
I don't know. So France and Italy actually are the two countries that have stepped up right now and are being it's like in Team America. They're writing very strongly worded letters, letting them know that they're upset about it. Like
Yeah.
it's about all you can ask for right now. So they're trying to say something about it. Iran's rightly pissed, and Iran's like, whoa, like one of our 10 points was that all fighting must stop, including Lebanon, and the deal that we all agreed to supposedly specifically said Lebanon. What are we doing here? So they apparently told Trump immediately. They were like, hey, if this continues, we're shutting the Strait of Hormuz. And the White House pretty much ignored them. JD Vance came out he was on a tarmac when he got off his jet, and he was like, yeah, well, we've talked to Israel, and they voluntarily have decided to scale back the strikes. They haven't at all. They're still hitting it full speed. So Iran officially reclosed the Strait of Hormuz this afternoon. Trump just found out about it. Trump's like 24 hours behind on what's going on. Yesterday, we found out that they're charging tolls, and just tonight, Trump said there are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now. Later, he tweeted that they're being very dishonorable. Basically, we had a deal, and they broke it by closing the strait. They're not just charging tolls now. They officially closed it today. Nobody's getting in, nobody's getting out. Gas price spiked back up. It's 120 a barrel now for oil or something like that. Anyhow,
Is
that's
it
where we're at.
120 now? It was like 110 earlier today.
From what I saw, and actually I heard this, so you have a way to check this real quick. I don't want to be given incorrect. I heard that it's about 120, and that might have been on News Nation. I can't remember what I was watching earlier.
It says 98.
No, that's what it maybe closed at yesterday.
Those two now. Do-do-do. Yeah, it says 90 to 99 per barrel. Oh, that's in West Texas.
So
that should be the same, right?
That's what they call Brent crude.
Live crude oil, yeah, 90 to $99. Brent crude, 95 to 98.
Let's see here. I don't know how to read all this. Okay, WTI crude 98.33, Brent's 96.53. I don't know what all these other ones are.
So it went down.
Well, it was down. It went down as soon as the ceasefire happened on Tuesday night.
Okay.
And like I said, I saw today that it was going back up because of the reclosure, but I'm not seeing that now. So
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. Um,
interesting.
yeah. Um, and then real quick, so we're supposed to be having negotiations on Saturday morning with Iran, with Pakistan being the mediator. I just thought this was funny that the two teams that are lining up to negotiate here.
JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner against Mohammed Bajar Galabath, Galabath, and Abbas Arachi.
Good luck.
Arachi.
I'm glad you tried to say those names. So
Yeah, I'm
two
horrible at that.
So two for real politicians, guys that have done peace deals before. These are guys that were involved in the JCPOA, the Obama Iran nuclear deal. So they've
Mhm.
negotiated before. They know what they're doing. And then we have one American and two Israelis on our side of the table. I don't know if you remember, but Britain flat out said they sat in on the last negotiation we had before we attacked them, like 5 weeks ago, and they
Uh-huh.
said, as far as Britain was concerned, Kushner and Witkoff were acting on behalf of Israel, not America. That's from Britain. They said that out loud. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So anyhow, we got one American, JD Vance, who I will say JD has been the one that supposedly behind the scenes isn't real happy with this war. He didn't want to do it. And then we
Yeah.
got the two Israelis that are going to stop at nothing to make sure that this war continues versus Iran. Also tonight, Iran said tonight, first of all, there's been all these reports that the Iranian negotiators have already flown in to I can't remember the name of the city, but in Pakistan where they're going to do this. Now,
Hmm.
Iran, their official media is claiming no, they haven't gone, and they're not going to go until the bombing stops in Lebanon. It seems like they're full of crap on this one because they were like, Pakistan sent fighter jets to escort their plane to Pakistan, and there's
Okay.
video of that. And there's, I don't know, I tend to think that the negotiators are in Pakistan and that they're and the Iranian government lies. Like we should all be aware of that. Even when they're putting out statements, be aware they can lie.
All the
There's
governments lie.
exactly, but they're saying that no, they never even left, and they're not going to leave until the bombing stops in Lebanon. It appears they really are already there. I'll bet the negotiations are going on, but to their people, because their people only get Iranian news. They don't get
Mm.
outside news. So I'll bet they're trying to look tough in front of their people and say, no, we're not going at all until the bombing stops. They're probably already there. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, to call a timeout and all the war stuff, we're going to get back to where we're at now with the war. But Melania Trump did something amazing today. Out of the blue, Melania called a press conference. Nobody was expecting this. The press is always like hanging out at the White House, and all of a sudden it was like, "Hey, everybody, get in here! Melania has a statement for you." So, and she set it up in the East Wing, which is like it's the executive, what is it? The Office of Executive Personnel, EOP, and the First Lady's offices are over there.
Yeah.
So they try to set, when the president like comes out of a doorway and walks down a long hall towards the camera to the podium, and then they have to walk all the way back down the hall. They tried
Uh-huh.
to set that up, but it was a shorter hallway, we'll just say.
Okay.
So this was a 6 minute speech. I only pulled a little bit of it, but
You told me about this earlier, and you know how hard it was for me not to watch anything on
I
this.
asked you, I asked you if you had seen it, and you said no, and I was like, don't watch it. Now I tried to figure out what to pull. The first part of it is her basically, she's pissed. She's saying, "Hey, everybody says I have something to do with Epstein." I'm paraphrasing totally, but she's like, I didn't know Epstein. I didn't know Ghislaine. Like, I know there's emails of me emailing her, but like, I
So
was just,
as soon as the war goes to a ceasefire, Epstein comes back in the picture, but it's Melania bringing it back?
dude, yeah, all kinds of theories on why. Nobody's nobody's talking about Epstein right now. If there's one thing that Trump did successfully here is he knocked Epstein out of the news. We're not talking about Epstein right now. We're very focused on Iran. Melania is like, "Hold my beer. I need to talk to the media." And she comes out and she's saying she wasn't friends with them. Like they ran into each other occasionally at parties. They ran in the same circles.
Hmm.
The emails that we've all seen of her writing Ghislaine, those were just like she was just being nice. Ghislaine had emailed her and she's emailing back. Now, she signed all the emails to Ghislaine with "Love Melania," but maybe she says love to everybody. Maybe that's a she's Slovenian. Maybe they do that there. Um, but she's like, "The pictures you've seen with me and Epstein, we're all at parties. Like we didn't." Now, and she kept saying me and Donald were never friends with them and this and that. And it's like, time out. I don't know about you, But Donald, there's a very well documented history of like 10 years where Trump and Epstein were very much buddy hanging
Closest
out.
friend. I was Donald Trump's closest friend.
Okay, and that's not just according to Epstein. That's according to people that hang out with him back then.
Yeah, and also, didn't he meet Melania through Epstein?
In her speech today, she said no. She said that's a lie, and she said like people that are saying this, she's going to sue them and this and that. But she talks for 5 minutes basically about how like everything that you're reading on the internet about me and Epstein is a lie. That was the whole first part of it, and most people are sitting there flabbergasted, like, why are they bringing up Epstein right now? Like, why?
What's about to come out?
So that there's two two theories on this is that they're trying to get in front of a story. They normally, if there's a story, they will contact Melania's people and say, "Hey, here's a story we're going to run. Do you have a comment for it?" Normally, they wait till like 24 hours before they're ready because they don't want to give the person a lot of time to kind of get in front of it. So
Right.
if that theory is true, like tomorrow we should be seeing this report theoretically. The other theory is that the Iran war is going so bad, they're now trying to spin it back to Epstein. I don't know if I believe that. I think it's way more likely that there's a story coming out that they're trying to get in front of.
They're like, we're not flooding the zone enough. Let's bring back the Epstein saga.
So it would have been one thing if she would have just given a long speech about how like she wasn't friends with Epstein and then that's it. Like, okay, we're going to talk about it for a day or two and then that's going to go away because Trump will do something else crazy. But at the end was the most magnificent part. This is the only part I pulled, but watch the end. It's about a minute long, but check this out.
Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
Secretary Letnick to continue serving.
Okay.
So she's calling. So I got to back up here. The Democrats have wanted to have more Epstein hearings and to let the victims speak. They've been pushing for that, and the Republicans have been not going to let that happen. And according to the reporting, because of Trump, Trump doesn't want that. He doesn't want another hearing about Epstein, let alone getting the victims up there. Oh my God, like that's worst case scenario for him. So the Republicans have been trying to block this. And Melania came out today and called for Congress to have new hearings and especially to have hearings with the victims and let them speak. That's everything that Trump's been fighting against for the last year and a couple months. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I'm so confused.
So
maybe this is a plan. They're just trying to confuse us.
So you got the 4D chess mindset. Everybody always thinks Trump is playing 4D chess.
I don't.
Okay.
I definitely don't.
I think the answer is way more simple. And this is my own personal theory here. The two options that everybody agrees is number one, they're probably trying to get ahead of some explosive story that's about to come out. That makes sense.
Okay.
Number two, they're trying to distract from the Iran war with Epstein, which at first everybody said they were trying to distract from Epstein with the Iran war. So that would be crazy if that's the case. I got to think Trump has other things he could distract people with. The third option, and this happened yesterday morning. So Melania came out today and said all this, and I was trying to figure out why would she be doing this? And it makes sense that, like, okay, she's fighting for women who have been abused, fighting for the victims, fighting for the release of the Epstein files. Like, that's something that a lot of Americans want. So, like, is she just wanting to be loved, maybe? Why would that? You know what? Now that I think about it, Harry Enton, your favorite pollster, I remember seeing him on CNN yesterday, and the topic was Melania Trump. I went back and found that tape, and something tells me Melania has also seen this tape. I think this is the whole reason for her little statement today. Check out Harry Enton real quick.
The American people really don't care for Melania Trump. Take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at Melania Trump's net favorable ratings. Look at this. The lowest ever. The lowest ever. We're talking about now 12 points underwater. If you go back a little bit more than a year ago, she was 3 points above water. You go back at this point, about this point in term number one for Donald Trump. Look at that. She was 30 points above water. So at this point, historic lows for Melania Trump. The worst ever at this point in term number two. Look at this. We got her at 12 points underwater. Look at the rest of these first ladies on the board right here. They're all way above water. 42 points above water for Michelle Obama, 46 above water for Laura Bush, 25 points above water for Hillary Clinton, who was not always the most popular, and 50 points above water for Nancy Reagan. Melania Trump breaking records in the way that you don't want to break records. Historically awful she is. The American people really don't care for her.
You know what's funny is we put Hillary Clinton up for our president when even when she was the first lady, she wasn't that popular.
No, she was not liked. Like Democrats liked her, the rest of the country did not. But I'll tell you right now, I think Melania saw that clip. And I think she's been stewing about it. She hates the fact that America doesn't like her. And maybe she went online and she was like, what are they saying about me? And she goes on Twitter and types in her name. And sure enough, I'll bet she saw a lot of stuff about her and Epstein and and then she probably sat up all night worried about, I'm totally making all this up, but in my head, it makes sense. And today she was like, how do I turn this around? I know. If I come out in favor of full transparency, release the files, let the women speak, reopen the hearings. Like, I wonder if she ran this by Trump or if she just did this on her own.
What are the Dems saying about this? Is it like
everybody's confused? So I think right now the strong majority of people believe that she's getting out in front of an explosive story that's about to drop. That's the consensus view.
So they're just kind of waiting for this story to come out.
Everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen. Yeah.
And then if nothing comes out in the next couple of days, I feel like the Dems should jump all over that and be like, yes, let's do this.
Well, and right now, Congress, that the Senate and the House are both on 2-week recesses because of Easter. So they're gone. They're not.
They get 2 weeks for Easter.
2 weeks for Easter. And
who gets 2 weeks for Easter? Nobody gets 2 weeks for Easter.
I've explained this to you before, but 200 years ago, this made sense. You would send, because you didn't want the representatives in D.C. all the time because they wouldn't be back home talking to their constituents. So they built a calendar with summer break, Christmas break, Easter, and they want their people. And back then it was like take a train all the way back home and then hold town halls and talk to your people. And we're still operating off that same calendar. Like now, every one of these guys flies home on Friday night and then flies back to D.C. on Sunday night. Like they're home every weekend. We need to change the calendar. These guys don't need 2 weeks for Easter, but originally it was to go home and have a town hall or two. None of them are doing it. Anyhow, I strongly think that when they get back, which I think they get back next Monday, when they get back, that's going to be the first question. James Comer is head of the House Epstein committee, and he's been the one saying no more hearings. We're not going to bring the victims in, and they're going to go to him and say, "Hey, Melania Trump is calling on you to do this." I don't know. How do you say no to that? And Trump's going to hate. Like, I'm so curious to see how this plays out right now. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Now, do we know if any of the victims who would be speaking at this, if they have dirt on Trump? Because it seems like all the ones that had dirt on Trump or stories about Trump have disappeared.
All the ones that we know of that are speaking publicly have said that they have no knowledge of anything involving Trump. That's all the ones that are involved in this. Now, if suddenly they're going to hold private hearing or public hearings, maybe some more of them are going to come out of the shadows and want to speak. Who knows? Like that could be a whole cluster, because then you could have people that are just straight making stuff up. You know, it's going to be so hard to try to vet that. This is going to be a circus.
Sure.
But I'm very excited for this. This happened this afternoon. This has been the talk of the afternoon, and Trump, again, he's great at changing the topic. So he came out with a banger of a tweet tonight that now has everybody's attention. So everybody's forgotten about Melania now. This is a pretty damn good one. He said,
"Oh my gosh, this is a long tweet."
It is. I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have nuclear weapons because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off of television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and they will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they can get some clicks because they have a third-rate podcast, because they are third-rate podcasters, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. He gets personal here in a second. Or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN 100% approval rating of Trump. That's true. They said MAGA, if you're MAGA, you 100% approve of him. Not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily, is that a word? Nastily? Asked me asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. He goes on, he attacks CNN and the New York Times and all that. But I want to, like, his coalition that got him elected. Like, yes, if you say I am MAGA, you approve of Trump. Whatever he does, you approve of him. The thing is, every Trump voter that and I know a lot of Trump voters, if I ever tell them, like, well, you're MAGA, they'll draw a distinction. They'll say, I'm not MAGA. I voted for Trump because I think he was better than the Democrats, but I'm not MAGA. A lot of Trump voters would say flat out they're not MAGA. They almost get offended when you say that. Okay. There's a very special breed of people. We know a couple of them. We see them on Facebook that are MAGA. They're ultra MAGA. Like, they would self-identify. Those people love Trump. The rest of coalition, like, I wish I knew numbers, like, for real. I'm just guessing, but like Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, like, they have big followings. And like, they told all their people to vote for Trump last time. Candace Owens is the one that shocks me the most. So many girls that I know from either work or from high school, like, post clips of her on their stories all the time. And it always shocks me because I'm like, this many people, women, are watching Candace Owens. Yeah, they are. Trump just declared war on them. Megyn Kelly still has a big audience. Tucker Carlson, I think Tucker Carlson's probably got the biggest audience of them all.
Probably.
Alex Jones, I don't know how many people listen to Alex Jones.
A lot, a ton.
Probably a ton.
A ton of MAGA listens to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think if Trump had picked a fight with one of them individually, like if he systematically said, I'm going to get Alex first, then I'm going to get Megyn, and went one at a time, he probably could beat them. Like, I think he could beat almost anybody one-on-one when it comes to who controls the MAGA base. But doing this to all of them at once seems suicidal. Like, it seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, and I don't know what he's doing because he's already lost. Like, and this is why he's losing. Like, he's going to lose the midterms. This is why he's going to lose the midterms. This is why there's probably not going to be another Republican the next 2028.
It seems like he's purposely destroying his coalition. And somebody said this. I wish I could remember what I was listening to this on. It was a podcast probably. But a Republican, is thinking that he's doing this on purpose because he wants Republicans to lose the midterms and then lose in 2028 so that he can say, look, when I'm not on the ballot, like, nobody else can do it but me. Like, I'm the only one that can bring together the coalition. When I'm not there, Republicans can't win. They need me. That sounds far-fetched and dumb. Also, if there's one person that might do that, it's Trump.
Yeah, but now you're talking 3D chess again.
Yeah, that's true. I think maybe he just doesn't care. I don't know. Or he's not planning, like I said last time, or he's not planning on having a free and fair election.
No, I think he cares. I think he just has such a big ego that you're right. He thinks he can win, beat all these people at the same time. But he also, they've been talking so much trash about him. He has to go after him. He can't
Yeah.
just sit idly by. He has to say
Well,
something, right?
they've all been very upset. It's just like the last week when he did the Easter morning praise be to Allah tweet, like they all had a problem with that. When he did
Hmm.
the end a whole civilization tweet on Tuesday morning, they all went off on him for that.
Yeah.
I'm actually thrilled to tomorrow. I'm gonna be like a kid in a candy store. I want to see what Alex says. I want to see what Candace says. I want to see what Tucker says. I want to see what Megyn says. And we already have a taste of it. Okay.
Mm.
Alex Jones put out a tweet tonight. I really wish he would put out a video. I can't. I know he will at some point. I want you to read this Alex Jones tweet.
I have made it very clear that I no longer support Trump, and I'm very thankful to him for making it clear that I have nothing to do with him. The new Trump is a rotting husk of the old Trump. I hope 47 enjoys Mark Levin being his spirit animal.
So made it very clear no longer support Trump, and I thank him for making it clear that I have nothing to do with him. Okay, that's a clean break right there.
That's a break.
Yeah,
The
Candace Owen.
problem, the problem we have is that I was thinking about this today. Like the people who, there are a lot of Republicans that will never vote for a Democrat because they just hate Democrats.
You're right, and people keep thinking that they're going to leave Trump and they're going to vote for the Dem. No, that's not what's going to happen, and that's not what needs to happen. What needs to happen is they don't show up to vote. It's voter depression. Trump is depressing his own base, and they're
Yeah.
not going to show up at the polls, and that's almost as good as them voting Democrat. Just don't show up. So, and that's what it's looking like's happening in all these special elections. So
But I
that's
mean, can't we just get like a Democrat that could bring in
yeah.
some of these people?
You know what? And I didn't pull it for this show, but Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, you know how we
Hmm.
always say, like, he's pretty awesome, but the fact that he's Jewish is going to cause problems. There's too much hatred of Israel. He got asked
Yeah.
the other day about that, and they said, as a Jewish American, what are your thoughts on Bibi Netanyahu? And he said, well, first of all, I take issue with the way you're framing it. As an American, like the fact that I'm Jewish has nothing to do with this. As an American, I think that
Hmm.
what Bibi Netanyahu's doing is horrific and blah, blah. And he gave an awesome answer, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, if he can figure that out, he's a very possible contender for president in 2028. But he's gonna have to be very careful with all
Yeah.
this. But
Okay.
his answer was better. You can tell they had workshopped it. People had helped him. They tried out different. He hit it perfectly. So possible. But anyhow, real quick,
Okay.
Candace Owens is the other response. And this all happened tonight while I was at soccer, so I didn't see much of it. But Candace Owens retweeted his tweet and said, it may be time to put grandpa up in a home. So those are the only two responses I saw from Trump tonight, or from the Trump critics tonight. So
That's
I'm
hilarious.
very excited on all counts. I got
It's
a couple.
war.
Yeah, he's trying to distract from the Epstein thing with Iran. And then he's trying to distract. Let's just play the game. Then he's trying to distract from Iran with the Epstein stuff. And then he
Uh-huh.
realizes the Epstein stuff is a problem. So he tries to distract from that by attacking the MAGA podcast hosts. And now he's at war with them. What's tomorrow going to bring?
The thing is he's caused so many messes throughout his entire life that he just can't run from. They're all
What?
catching to him right now.
And the thing is, real quick, during his first term, even people that liked Trump hit like a point of Trump fatigue where they were like Trump fans were basically saying, can he just stop? Like, why is he still doing this like on a daily basis? And
Hmm.
especially during COVID when he was getting up there saying, let's drink bleach and let's use a bright light to cure COVID. It
Yeah.
was just stop. And then after a couple years of no Trump, people forgot about that. You remember the good times, you forget the bad times, and they forgot. And I think already we're a year and 3 months, 2 months into this, and I think people are going, "Oh yeah, this is what the first term was like."
Well, you think about the college kids that voted in the last election
Mhm.
when Trump was, elected for the first time. They were what, 12 to 14 years old,
Yeah,
or 10 to 14 years old.
yeah.
So they have no recollection of Trump.
They're getting it here. He's lost the youth. He's lost young males. Like he's lost Hispanics big time. He's in trouble. Anyhow, I got a couple other things, and one of them that is kind of it's going to be one that's going to irritate me. But you brought something to the table tonight. What do you got?
All right. I've got a video from Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk, and it really caught my attention because we've talked about this before. Like Trump says domestic terrorists, and what he means is people like you and me who are sitting here talking shit about Trump all day long. Right? Not all day long, but we got a podcast where we talk about Trump.
If you don't support Trump, then you don't support America, and therefore you are a terrorist. This is kind of the way that he looks at it.
And I was gonna bring up the list and go through it one by one, but I feel like Kyle Kalinske just did a terrific job on going through this list. So let's watch this video.
All right.
Proactively identifying domestic terrorists motivated by any of the following beliefs. Ready? So this is the list. We talked about it before, but anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the U.S. government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family. So what if you're gay, in favor of gay marriage, you're an extremist? Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion. So if you're an atheist or an agnostic, you're fucking a terrorist. Hostility towards those who hold traditional views on morality, which I don't even know what that one means because I've never seen a more immoral regime than this one. But apparently you have to believe in their immorality in order to not be a terrorist. So again, stop and think about this, guys. If you're considered a domestic terrorist, if you're, quote, anti-American, well, they call the entire left wing anti-American. They call liberals and leftists anti-American. They say, like, if you criticize Trump, if you criticize MAGA, if you criticize conservative republicanism, then you're a terrorist. So, I mean, it's just insane because, of course, everybody on the left side of the political spectrum, we all criticize America because we're trying to improve it and make it better, right? It's a labor of love. But no, they flip it like, oh, you should be locked up. You're a domestic terrorist. To say anti-capitalism is domestic terrorism, okay, does that mean you're a domestic terrorist if you support Medicare for all? If you want to expand Social Security, right? Does that mean you're a domestic terrorist if you want to increase the number of unions?
I have so much. So real quick, the list he read, that's not a new list. That's the NSPM 7 or whatever that they put out a year ago when they first got in office.
A year ago?
Yeah, we covered that on the show a year ago. But
okay.
That's the new, I think it's called like NSPM 7, but the new guidelines for what a domestic terrorist is. They haven't really put it to use yet, but it's still out there. It's official. Like the Department of Justice uses that.
Well, he was talking about how they're asking for a budget for this.
Okay. That's new then.
Like there's a budget plan in place to actually like put our FBI and CIA to work against American people.
Well, it sucks because I watch a lot of right-wing stuff, and I was watching a podcast where it's two like MAGA pastors and like they both lead, from what I understand, very large churches, and they're doing a podcast together. And they were saying that Trump needs to immediately declare that all Democrats are domestic terrorists and bar them from running for office. And they weren't trying to be they were agreeing with each other that that has to happen. Like we can't let the Democrats get back in charge. And it was odd how like they were just talking about it like clearly that's what we need to do now. And it's like that anyhow. And then that list right there, like so many of those things, and I think Kyle said like that could apply to Trump, but like several of them, like the morality thing for sure, but even like traditional American values, like let's look at Trump. Like, and I hate to be the guy that's doing this whole, but like, what is it? 5 different kids from 3 different women. He's cheated on every wife he's ever had. He divorced 2 of them. The one that he currently has, he cheated on with a porn star while his newborn was at home, like a month or 2 from being born. Like, this is the least moral guy we have. He doesn't really represent American value. He puts on a face of representing American values, but when you look at what he actually does, and look at the way he's treating the rest of the world right now, like this is
what
not.
I'm saying. Does he actually put on a face of representing American values? No.
To his people, he does. Like the curated version of Trump that right-wing media traditionally shows their people. Like I said, they don't see a lot of the stuff that we see. Like that. Yeah. I can't stress that enough. Like, how many times do you call your dad and be like, did you see that Trump, blah, 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 blah? And your dad's like, no, I had no clue. Yeah. That's just extremely common. Yeah. And that's what back during the first term, people would be like, Trump didn't do that. You're lying. And I would think that they were lying. And it took a while till I realized, like, no, they're being serious. They never saw that. Like, they have no clue what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah, let's hope they don't actually put that into practice. And maybe that's why it appears Trump doesn't care about the coalition. He doesn't care about the midterms. Is because he's gonna try to pull some crap before the midterms. Very possibly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. Either that or he doesn't care, like we said earlier.
Oh man, yeah.
Like,
Okay.
but like I said last time, he's got Elon Musk, and I don't know about that Starlink.
Yeah, that's still like I said, I'm not in on that, but I'm open to ideas. If you think that Elon is manipulating voting machines, show me some evidence. If anybody would show me some evidence, I would love to see it and I'll make a judgment. But
I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that he could.
Yeah. I don't know. With all the bridges that Trump is burning right now, like you gotta wonder when eventually, because like let's just say Tucker. Like Tucker is very well liked by Theo and Joe Rogan, and I think Elon. I'm not 100% on Elon, but like Tucker's in that circle, and Trump just went off on him, scorched earth style. Like is because of that, he attacked Alex Jones and Tucker. Joe Rogan's great friends with both of them. Like, what's Joe Rogan going to say tomorrow? Is Joe Rogan going to get the next tweet from Trump about being a loser? Like, that's kind of the direction we're heading. I think it's going to snowball from here. I really do. I think of all the things that he's done, and you're going to laugh at me for this, that tweet right there where he went off on those podcasters, that's going to be like a turning point. We've all said, uh-oh, Trump really did it this time, and then he escapes. He went scorched earth on some of his biggest, most vocal defenders.
I think the Iran war is going to be the turning point.
Yeah. So yes, Epstein was the beginning of a turning point, and Iran helped it even further. I don't know why. I feel like he's underestimating, and it's not like it's 50% of the of the Republican voting base, but it's enough of a percent to where without them, you can't win another election. Like you need. Let's say that's 5% of Republican voters that listen to all those people. Okay.
Yeah.
That 5% is very crucial to what's going on. So, and I don't see how he makes up with them from that. Like they've all been pretty pissed at him. And after saying all that, like there's not going to be any reconciliation between them.
I don't think so either.
No.
Yeah. But what are they going to do? Are they going to be like, vote Democrat in the midterms?
No, they're going to say stay home.
Stay home.
Yeah. Actually, Megyn Kelly won't. Megyn Kelly's been very clear that as much as she's mad at Trump, she's not voting for a Democrat. She never would, blah, blah, blah. She'll tell everybody to show up and vote Republican. And they're all going out of their way to point out that, hey, all the behind the scenes reporting are saying that JD Vance isn't down with any of this. So they're saving their powder to then be able to say in 2028, vote for JD. He didn't want to go to war with Iran. He didn't want to cover up the Epstein files, whatever it is. They're going to make it seem like JD the whole time didn't like what was going on.
Are they going to ever admit that they were wrong for pushing Trump?
Yeah, several of them have. I will say that. I can't think of direct quotes, but like several of them have said like had they known then what they know now, they wouldn't have done it.
And I would like them to debate like left-wing people. I would like to see Tucker Carlson debate Jon Stewart again. I would like to see Megyn Kelly debate any left-winger.
That's the thing. Tucker has had on left-wing people recently, but it's never been a debate. It's like they agree on a lot of stuff. Like there's a weird thing happening where Tucker is like making a push for the center. Like he's not far right. If you listen to the last 6 months of Tucker's podcast, he comes across as like a very reasonable centrist type guy that has guests from the left and right on, and they always agree, and it's always really nice, and nobody yells at each other. Like Tucker is setting himself up in a really neat position right now where like he could have a political future.
And I've asked you this question because I don't know if you're still on this train, but you were like, I still have some right-wing values. And I've always asked, what policies do the right wings bring to the table that you actually can go along with at this point in time?
So I'm going to tell you what I always believed were my Republican. And you're going to say, like, if I say balance the budget, you're going to point out Republicans don't. Okay, I agree with
the Democrats are better with that.
So, but let me say the reasons why I would have said I still have some Republican values, and let me get through it without you pointing out, because I know that's why I'm not still voting Republican, because this this group of Republicans doesn't care about the things that I cared about. Okay. The lowest taxes possible and not wasting our money, frugal spending. Okay. Now, I'm for Medicare for all. Like, I think that if every other developed country can do it, we should try to do it here in America. But overall,
can I give you a rebuttal on that one?
Okay, go ahead.
I got a little rebuttal on that one. Doge came in and cut the shit out of our government. And did he save much money?
No.
I think they spent more money doing that.
He did it in the dumbest way possible. He came in, what do they say? He used a sledgehammer instead of a scalpel or something like that. Like, Bill Clinton, a Democrat in the 90s, went through and he gets credit for balancing the budget. We've talked about this before. Newt Gingrich and the Republicans that held Congress pretty much forced him to do it. Now, when they told him, hey, we're going to make you balance the budget, he did the right thing and he said, okay, cool, I'm all for it. Let's balance the budget. And then he went through surgically with a scalpel and found some places to cut and did it the right way. Elon came in with a sledgehammer and just, hey, we're going to get rid of all of USAID. And he got rid of a lot of things that overall was a very small percentage of the budget. But I think overall, I think most Americans could agree our government wastes a lot of money on stupid stuff. Sure. And if we could limit that, that'd be great. So that's my number one. The reason that I would have said I was a Republican is overall, I want the government to spend as little as our money as possible on stuff they don't need. You know, the joke about, the Navy pays $200 for a hammer or whatever, because of contracts they have.
Oh, there was something ridiculous about coffee. I just found yesterday or the day before. Keep going. I'll look it up.
So that's the reason. I would say spend as little as possible and then tax us accordingly. But I'm not for paying higher taxes. So that's number one. Number two, and I still believe in this, is border security. Like, I think that we should have better immigration laws that we need immigrant workers to come into America. There's a lot of jobs that Americans ain't going to do, but we should have a well-oiled system where people show up, we check them, we make sure that they don't have criminal history, we make sure that they're the right kind of person, and then we fast-track them to having a green card or a work visa or whatever it might be, and if they do good for a period of time, they can become a citizen. But overall, I want a better immigration system with border security. I don't want bad people coming to our country. And that was for a long time, that was a right-wing view. I'm for that. I think here, besides fiscal responsibility and border security would be my main two. Other than that, that's probably that's the main two that I could say. I still hold those values. It's clear that this version of Republicans don't give a crap about balancing the budget at all. And then they're a little too much on border security. We need some immigrant workers to come in. They're doing this whole get them all out of here and no new immigrants come in. No. We need Mexican immigrant workers. What do they call it? The migrant workers. I'm not trying to be racist or stereotypical, but somebody's got to pick our fruit, okay? And Americans ain't picking our fruit. And migrant workers from South America do that shit. We need them in here. Anyhow.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks like $300,000 on coffee over a year.
Well, and that's the thing with how our government works in general is we do these no bid contracts, and then we're locked in on a price where we're paying $15 for a pound of coffee, where you could go down to the store and get it for 10, or I'm making up numbers here, but it's we have this contract with them for the next 5 years. We have to buy it at this price. Why? Let's do some competitive bidding. Let's open that up. There's several ways.
So many no bid contracts in the government.
Yeah.
And
it's always doing a favor for a donor. That's how these people get that is, and it's corruption. It boils down to corruption, but that's where I'm at with that. So anyhow.
Yeah.
You want to hear about the war on Catholics?
Oh yeah. Let's go back to that.
Have you heard anything about this in the last 4 days?
Nope.
Okay.
But you know what? Since you put me on that mission to research it, I get on my YouTube feed, it's a prayer for the day. I get all these random YouTube channels they're pushing me now.
That's what I retweeted a couple things about the whole, well, it was, the Pope said, what did he say? God does not hear the prayers of those who commit war. And then Trump got mad. And anyhow, ever since then, I've been getting this in my feed a lot. But some new stories have come out, and this actually happened last year, probably 8 to 10 months ago. But I'm gonna there's a clip that I found from I think it's Chicago. It's either NBC Chicago or CBS Chicago. But let's let them tell the story real quick.
Pope and his relationship with the Trump administration. There are conflicting reports from Vatican sources in the Pentagon over an unusual meeting that took place earlier this year. Marianne Ahern is here to explain why the Pentagon met with the Vatican officials in the first place.
Marianne, shortly after Pope Leo's January speech to diplomats visiting the Vatican, Pentagon officials requested a meeting with those who represent the Pope in Washington, D.C. The disagreement today, what was the tone and the message?
In January, Pope Leo spoke of the importance of international humanitarian law when he addressed the diplomatic corps.
War is back in vogue, and a zeal for war is spreading.
Shortly after that speech, a meeting was requested by the Pentagon with Vatican officials based in Washington, D.C. That's highly unusual. As first reported by the Free Press, the Pentagon offered, quote, a bitter lecture warning that the United States has the military power to do whatever it wants and that the church had better take its side. A Vatican source also tells NBC5 the meeting was most unpleasant and confrontational.
So first of all, the Pentagon should never be reaching out to the Vatican for anything. Our State Department, or maybe JD, since he's Catholic and he's the vice president. But the Pentagon,
he killed the last pope.
That's true. He was just the last person to touch him before he died, or one of the last.
That's true.
Yeah, that's highly unusual to say the least. The Pentagon got mad because the Pope basically was saying that war is not good and we shouldn't do war. That's in a nutshell. So they summoned the highest-ranking Vatican official in America and brought him in. And then they chastised him, berated him, and said, what was the exact quote? We have the strongest military in the world, and we can do whatever we want, so you better get on our side.
Dude.
So it goes on real quick. And this another article I found on it.
Oh, my gosh.
In January, behind closed doors of the Pentagon, Undersecretary of War Policy Elbridge Colby, which he's only there because his dad was like a Pentagon official or something. He's like a legacy hire. Nepotism, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But Eldridge Colby summoned Cardinal Christophe Pierre, Pope Leo the 14th, then ambassador to the United States, and delivered a lecture. America, Colby and his colleagues told the cardinal, has the military power to do what it wants in the world. The Catholic Church had better take its side. As tempers rose, a U.S. official reached for a 14th century weapon and invoked the Avignon papacy, the period when the French crown used military force to bend the Bishop of Rome to its will. That's right. And I had to look this up. I knew nothing about this, but at one point they reminded them. You remember I hope I'm saying that right, the Avignon papacy. But apparently in like 1303, it was the King of France. I think it was one of the Louis. I think he basically summoned the Pope to come to France and didn't like the way the Pope was doing things, so imprisoned him where they tortured the Pope for a couple of years, and then they pretty much had killed the Pope. They tortured him almost to death, and then they released him, and he died a couple days later from the injuries he sustained. Then a new Pope was elected, and they made the new Pope move out of the Vatican and move to France, to Avignon, whatever that city is. So I think we went through several different popes that lived in Avignon, France for it was like a period of 60 or 80 years or something like that.
So they moved the Pope to France
and made him live there so that because at this time, France was a major power in Europe. So they basically took control of the Pope and made him do whatever the King of France said. And eventually,
basically the Pope was a slave. The popes were slaves to
the French king. So this was a period of like 60 to 80 years. I'm really interested. I need to look more into this later. I didn't do a whole lot of homework on it. But one of our defense officials brought that period up kind of as a threat. Said, hey, you remember the Avignon papacy? Like
holding a medieval weapon, apparently.
Yeah. So anyhow, so that's where we're at. Now they asked JD about this the other day, getting off a plane, and it had been in the news for a day or for, I'm going to say, a half a day at that point. So he knew about it, but he played dumb, and he was like, oh, he's like, what is this story? I haven't heard this. And then they brought up that cardinal, and he was like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know who that cardinal is. And the reporter was like, you met with this cardinal just, whenever it was. And he was like, oh, yeah, him. Okay, I forgot the name. Yeah, him. Okay, now what happened? And then he was like, well, he's like, I don't want to comment until I get both sides of this. Let me do some investigating, and I'll get back to you guys. I don't want to comment prematurely. I'd love to hear. Now, our Pentagon put out pictures today of the meeting, and the intent was to say, no, that story is wrong. It was a very nice meeting, and it was all smiles. And from what the Vatican is saying, the picture they put out was when the cardinal and his entourage first got there. They were taking pictures, shaking hands, everything was smiles, and then they went back into an office to do a meeting, and that's when things got hostile. The Pentagon is saying, no, they're making it up. It was never hostile. The Vatican is saying, yeah, no, it was very uncomfortable and confrontational.
So our military is threatening the Catholic Church.
It would appear so.
How wild.
And it makes sense. At first, I was like, what? Why? What are we doing? But think about it. Who runs the Pentagon?
Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth, pastor, is that guy that's like far right. He thinks women should be at home making babies and cooking dinner. And he's very anti-Catholic. Like that branch of, I think it's Baptist or Southern Baptist, hate the Catholics. They don't think that they're real Christians. And I've talked to people up here about this that don't think the Catholics are Christians. His pastor is one of those people. That's the word of God that he listens to. And now he's the one. Why is the Pentagon confronting the Pope?
Good question. That's the question. Why is the Pentagon threatening the Catholic Church with military action?
I'll bet if you ask them, their answer would be, why is the Pope speaking out against what we're doing? Like, that'd be their answer. Like, the Pope started this. He's the one out there saying that we shouldn't make war. Like, well, that's kind of what God would say. That's what Jesus would say, is you shouldn't make war.
100%. 100%.
I don't know. I'm so confused.
I still like the comparison between JD or Pete Hegseth's prayer and Pope's prayer.
Hegseth's prayer versus Tallarico, or Hegseth versus the Pope, or whatever it is. Like, it's two very different understandings of what Christ wanted people to do. That's all I can say.
One is fire and brimstone, and one is love thy neighbor.
It's Old Testament stuff. I will rain down my vengeance upon thee. It's a Pulp Fiction, Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man. That's what it is. So anyhow, I do have an update real quick. I think we've talked before about who the worst cabinet secretary is. Have we ever talked about who the biggest brown noser of them all is?
Marco Rubio?
No, so I would have said Pam Bondi. Remember South Park had the running bit about Pam, you got some shit on your nose. Her nose was up his ass. I think we need to at least consider there's one person that might be the biggest brown noser in the administration. It's the new acting attorney general, Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche has been the deputy attorney general, and he was also Trump's defense lawyer. And it's so weird that we have the president's personal defense lawyer in charge of the DOJ now. Like, that would never fly anytime else in American history. But he was asked today, like, if he's wanting to keep the job, does he want Trump to make him the head of the DOJ, or is he willing to go back to his old role, or what? His answer, I want you to see if you can catch the little part that stuck out at me here. Check this out.
I love working for President Trump. It's the greatest honor of a lifetime. And if President Trump chooses to keep me as acting, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate me, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and I go back to being the DAG, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and asks me to go do something else, I will say, thank you very much. I love you, sir. So I don't have any goals or aspirations beyond that.
And then just a quick question.
Thank you very much. I love you, sir.
I love you, sir. What? I don't know why. That stuck out to me. If he fired me, I would say, thank you very much. I love you, sir. What? I don't even think Marco Rubio would debase himself to that. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just I heard that out of just my peripheral today, and I was like, time out. Did he just say that? And I had to go back and pull it. And I was like, yeah, he said
I
that.
love you, sir. Thank you for firing me. I love you, sir.
I don't think he's kidding. I think he would say that. I really do. I think that's where it's at. So
interesting.
Speaking of other cabinet secretaries, and I'm kicking myself because I should have pulled the video. I didn't. But RFK Jr. We haven't heard a lot out of RFK recently.
I was just about to say that same thing.
Maha's very upset, I will say. Maha thinks the rumor is that the White House went to RFK and said, hey, knock it off with the anti-vaccine stuff. Like, the American people don't like that. Knock it off. So they've pretty much neutered him to where, like, he can't do all the things that maybe that's true. I'm going to give it a 50-50. Maybe that's true, or maybe he's just not getting a lot done, and that's how they're coping with it. It's like, well, it's not his fault. It's Trump's fault. Trump's not letting him do the things he wants to do. One or the other. I don't really know. But he found a new way to do something with his time, and I think it's going to be maybe the most effective thing he's done as head of HHS.
No. Coming soon, the Secretary Kennedy podcast. Oh my gosh. So they're giving him a podcast?
So he's going to do a podcast as the head of HHS. He has all these tools of things he can do to make America healthier and better. But what he's going to do is a podcast.
While he continues to poison American people with glyphosates.
There's like a 1:30 long little video he did about it. And he says, the American government lies to you. It doesn't tell you the truth. But luckily on my podcast, we're going to tell you. And it's like, dude, you are the American government. Like, it's exactly like when Dan Bongino was like, he announced he's leaving the FBI. He's the number 2 at the FBI. He wants to go somewhere where he can really make a difference. Podcasting again, because that's where he can really make change. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you're the number 2 guy at the FBI. If all these things are happening that you say are happening, that's where you can make a difference, is at the FBI. But he decides to go back to podcasting. Makes no sense. RFK is starting. I don't know if it's going to be a daily, weekly. I don't know what it is, but he's going to be the RFK podcast. What is it called again? The Secretary? What was it?
The Secretary Kennedy podcast.
Yeah. It's probably the best case scenario for us. Like, this is another one of those where it's like, he could be doing things to harm HHS and CDC and all that. Let's just let him go do the podcast. Like, that's the best scenario for us, is that he just goes off and does a podcast.
I don't know.
He can't break it if he's not there. Let him go to his podcast.
He had some decent ideas, right? But they've just strangleholded his ideas and said, oh no, like these pesticide companies need to make more money, so we're going to allow them to poison the American people.
Yeah. So that his best ideas were on food, and like the food that, I've said this so many times on our podcast. I don't want to repeat it again, but I'm gonna. Like, his ideas are good when it comes to food, and the answer would be better regulations. The government needs to be on top of what is in our food, what ingredients there are. The problem is the Republican Party is the party of less regulations. They're definitely not going to let him add more regulations. If anything, they want him to take away regulations and let food manufacturers put whatever they want in our food. The Maha joining up with Republicans, I said way back before the election even happened, I said this won't work, because the way to do what RFK wants to do is by regulations. Republicans will never let that happen. And here we are a year and 2 months into it, and I feel like I've been proven very right by that. Like, not going to happen. I'm just going to say.
They're saying that we're going to have a food shortage because of
Iran.
Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. Because fertilizer is not getting out of the Strait of Hormuz, and that's going to affect our crops. Yeah, that's now
our farmers are already asking for more money, like more subsidies because of this.
What's going to happen, and from what I've read, is there's going to be a global food shortage, but we are not going to run out of food here in America, because it's going to go to the highest bidder. So we're going to pay more money for our food here, and there's going to be third world countries that just ain't going to get any deliveries. Like, there's going to be famine in third world countries months from now because of what's happening right now. So get ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, just in time for spring, right?
Just in time for the harvest, or for planting season, right? In this planting season, it's when you would need it. So fantastic. We're all good, buddy. And then
it's amazing. Like, I never really thought about like how much one war could really just kind of destroy an entire population on Earth.
Well, this is normally one war can't do this, but part of from listening to military people that served under Obama, George W. Bush, like they had war gamed out what would happen if you go to war with Iran. They war gamed it out a lot. And every time it came down to if Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz, we can't do anything about it. And that's why we've always known, we better off just not pick a fight with them, because if they take Hormuz, it's going to cause so many problems and there's no way for us to open it back up. So that's what we've known. We still decided to do it. I got nothing else to say on that. And this is the last point I have for the night. While this is all going on, Iran, we're in for very rude economic times ahead. By the way, didn't even pull this. I'll have to pull something on it next time. But our fourth quarter GDP, which Trump, Besant, and Lutnick kept saying, as soon as Q3, Q4 gets here, that's when it's our economy. Right now, this is Biden. Quarter three, quarter four, that'll be us. Quarter four came in at 1.5% GDP growth, which is terrible. That's nowhere near. Biden averaged like 3%, which Trump would say that's not high enough. We want 5%, but 3% GDP is pretty good. We had 1.5% in Q4, which is not good, but not alarm raising. Well, about a week or two ago, it got revised down to 0.7% GDP. And then today they announced the final revision. It got revised down to 0.5% GDP. This is before the war with Iran started, okay? So the last inflation count was 3% and GDP was 0.5, and now we're heading into all the effects of the war. So the next quarter is going to be god-awful. So this is the Trump economy now. They said Q3, Q4 is going to be them. So we're already a year into it. They can't blame this on Biden. That's going on. People are stressed about the future of the economy. They're stressed about the war in the Middle East. The Epstein stuff has some people riled up. Overall, there's just a lot going on. Trump announced the other day that he's going to get the $15 million to do his arch in D.C. from, I should have pulled it, but it's like a humanitarian organization that the government funds. So he's taking $15 million away from a humanitarian organization and using that.
Oh, how horrible. What the 15 million? Couldn't he just pull that out of his own pocket?
Probably, supposedly, if he's got all the money he claims he has. We talked about it last time. He's asking the taxpayers to pay $337 million to renovate the White House? Was that the number?
Oh, it was more than that, I thought.
It might have been like I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, no, you're right. It was because it was close to what the ballroom was.
Yeah, $337 million, $377 million, something like that. He's doing that. He announced today that him and the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum or whatever, are going to renovate the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial. So they're going to do that too. That's more taxpayer dollars. We don't know what the cost is going to be on that. So it's like, dude, stop renovating stuff. Stop building the ballroom. Stop building your arch. Like, things are going bad, and you just keep talking about all the different things you're renovating, and every one of them is going to cost us money, except supposedly the ballroom is being paid for by private donors. The rest of it's on us. And then on top of that, he's now promoting his fight that's coming up here in June at the White House, which I kept thinking, I was like, clearly they're not really going to do that, but they are. They're going to do it. He put out a tweet today. It's a picture. I wanted to think it was fake at first. Him and Dana White with an octagon in front of the White House with thunder. If it thunderstorms on that night, that's not going to be good. What else is interesting about this is at the bottom, it's sponsored, and I know Stake is a online casino, online gambling. That's Stake. I don't know what Freak is, but is this sponsored content? Did he possibly get paid? Like, is this an advertisement? Did he get paid to put this? Why else would their logo be on it?
Because he pulled it from somewhere else.
You think? Or
Dana White's definitely getting paid for this, but if he's getting, he's getting a cut.
If he's getting a cut to post on the POTUS website, that's an official government handle, like that's corrupt. Where he's done so much other stuff that it's not worth. But like,
I keep hearing a lot of murmurs about the 25th Amendment.
So here's the thing. The 25th Amendment's not going to happen because that has to get initiated by his cabinet. And he picked the most loyal of loyalists to be in his cabinet. So I'm just going to say, take that out of your brain. That's not happening. Now, there's been a debate for the past year about should the Democrats try to impeach him again if they take back the House. I've been of the mindset that unless you really think you can get 2/3 in the Senate to go along with it, don't waste our time on it. Like, it's just a waste of time. Two-thirds of the Senate's never going to do it. I gotta say, in the past week, Alex Jones was saying 25th Amendment, but overall he wants him out. Megyn Kelly wants him out. Tucker wants him out. Just those people, Candace too, but like, let's just take Megyn Kelly, Tucker, and Alex Jones. They would all much rather have JD Vance right now. Like, and that's something we got to remember. If we get rid of Trump, we get JD, and JD might be way more effective at getting stuff done that would be things that you don't like. I'm just gonna say,
but we wouldn't be in a war.
We wouldn't
if
be in a
JD
war.
was president, we wouldn't be in a war.
You are correct.
We wouldn't have to deal with this Epstein shit. We could focus on complaining about his policies.
Okay. You make a good point. But all I'm saying is I still don't think we're at a point where 2/3 of the Senate would vote to convict him. But I think we're way closer now. Like, if they didn't have to fear Trump, if they could all do a secret ballot and say, hey, would you rather replace Trump right now with JD? Like, I'll bet 90% of the Senate would say that. I mean, 90% of the Republicans would say that. But they know that if they say that out loud, they have to put up with Trump coming after him on social media and this and that, getting primaried, which the big test is going to be on, I think it's on May 19th, is the Kentucky Republican primaries. Thomas Massey's rerunning for his seat, and Trump is all in on supporting Massey's challenger, okay? And it's a guy that's pro-Trump as heck. Trump has gone to Kentucky like twice to campaign with this guy because he wants to teach Thomas Massey a lesson. Thomas Massey went against him on the Epstein files. He's going to show everybody what happens when you go against Trump. Right now, in the latest poll, Thomas Massey's up on this guy by 10 points, okay? If Thomas Massey survives the full-blown Trump endorsement attack going after him, if Massey survives, that could change the calculus of Republicans in the House and Senate quite a bit. Well, and who knows? We're a month out still from this. Maybe Massey will lose. But if Massey wins by 10 points, that's pretty big. Like,
that'd be nice.
I don't know. So all I'm going to say is right now, I still don't think it'd be a wise move to try to impeach him. If Democrats take the House, they can impeach him. That means get it out of the House. But then once it gets to the Senate is where you would convict him or not. And 67 senators have to say yes, they voted. So right now, with the current makeup, it would have to be all the Democrats plus 20 Republicans. Yeah, or maybe 23 Republicans.
Does that go to trial? Is that basically a trial?
Yeah, they did it twice in his first term, where they have a full blown, and because the Republicans controlled the Senate, they made it like an expedited trial. They made it, I think it was like 2 or 3 days apiece.
He didn't have to speak or anything, did he?
He didn't. The president does not have to show up on his own impeachment. But remember, Alan Dershowitz was one of the lawyers for one of Trump's impeachment. I'm just saying that's the only way you get him out of office before 2028 is if he gets impeached. The 25th Amendment ain't happening. Don't even spend time daydreaming about it. Impeachment, and I still say, I think it has to get worse than this. Right now, 67 senators would not vote to convict, and things are going to have to, like, if the economy, let's say the economy truly goes to trash because of the war, then maybe you get 67 senators, but they would have to get to that point.
So to get Trump out, we all have to suffer.
And I don't want to suffer.
With a horrible economy, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're suffering. It's like suffer this way or suffer this way, right?
That's all the way back to the beginning of the show real quick. Like, we're making fun of Trump for his whole taco on this, and he's agreeing to Iran's 10 points. What a joke. Ha ha ha. Like, he said a month ago that unconditional surrender is all he's going to take, and now he's willing to work on their 10-point plan. But at the same time, like, we need an end to this war, and even if it's humiliating for America, like, the wise thing to do for Democrats would be to shut up and let him taco and let him do a terrible deal with Iran, and that way we're out of the war. The effects of the war we're going to feel for the next couple of months. Like if
years.
Yes, years, but like hardcore for the next couple of months. Like from what I read today, if Saturday they actually, no way this is going to happen, but let's say Saturday they negotiate and they come out with a peace deal and they sign it and they show everybody, hey, look, we've agreed. The Strait of Hormuz is open. No more bombs. Fighting in Lebanon's over. Like, it'll take a couple months till oil is flowing out of that region at anywhere near the rate it used to be. And it'll take 5 to 7 years till it's fully back to 100% of what it was. That's a problem. Like, let's say in 3 months, everything starts flowing again, it takes a month for that oil to cross the. Apparently, oil tankers travel at like 8 knots. They're incredibly slow because they're so
Right.
heavy.
Makes
So
sense.
it takes forever for the oil to get to its destination. So even if things ended on Saturday, we'd be looking at 4 to 5 months before like real relief starts to happen, and then years after that till we're back to where we were.
That's why he's tacoing, because 4 to 5 months is just in time to like kind of make a recovery for the midterms.
I think that's why he initially had the deadline of like 4 to 6 weeks, because he thought like he could do that. It's going to mess things up for a little bit, but everything will be normal again by summer and good heading into the midterms. And I think his people weren't honest with him, because now we're in a situation where like it's not going to be back to normal by the midterms at all.
Well,
But
not his people, but the Dark Force was not honest with him.
yeah, the Dark Force
Yeah.
was a problem. So
And our they don't listen. I don't know what our intelligence looks like, but I don't think it's very good
no. And
at this point.
did you see though? I didn't even talk about this tonight, but the article, the Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, who like those are two reporters I trust. Maggie Haberman's with the New York Times. Jonathan Swan is a fantastic reporter. He had a couple of really memorable interviews with Trump during the first term. I should have pulled the clip. Anyhow, he's a good dude. Anyhow, they're writing a book together, but they came out with an article about a meeting that happened on February 11th in the White House, where Netanyahu came to visit Trump to convince him to start this war. And like the whole thing was so weird because like Netanyahu and Trump went down to the Situation Room to have this meeting, which normally we don't let any foreigner in our Situation Room. You don't bring other heads of state down there, period. But we did it. Trump in the Situation Room, there's the president's chair that's at the head of the table. You know, you're in command of the room. And he didn't sit in his chair. He sat across the table from Netanyahu on the side of the table so that they could both be equals talking and not one ruler. So to show bipartisan, not bipartisan, but to show unity that we're equal, he didn't sit at the head of the table. And apparently Netanyahu gave him a full, presentation of why we need to do this war now. And then after Netanyahu left, all of Trump's people tried to politely say, like, sir, the Israelis say this a lot. Like, it's not going to be as easy to say. Apparently, Marco Rubio flat out said, basically, sir, what they just said is bullshit. That's one of the direct quotes from it. And Trump basically said, okay, I hear all you guys, but we're going to do it. So, like, if you believe that article, all of Trump's people tried to, they didn't go full force, but they tried to kind of gently tell him, sir, what Netanyahu just said isn't correct. And he still decided to do it. So let's pray for a peace deal on Saturday. Let's pray for good negotiations on Saturday. Also, Trump is still moving troops and assets into the Middle East. So we're preparing for, if this doesn't go good, to continue the war. And it seems like, I don't know, part of me thinks it seems like that's inevitably what's going to happen is we're going to start fighting again. But also, like, I truly do think Trump wants an off-ramp. And I think he'd be willing to sign a bad deal, hoping that Fox News can spin it and make it seem like a victory for him.
Yeah. I mean, and our weapons are depleted. I was listening to something today talking about how we have not ordered Tomahawk missiles for the last like 2026, 2027. We don't have any orders in place for Tomahawk missiles. And
So a source in our government told a newspaper today that Israel is down to double-digit interceptors, meaning less than 100. So that's like 3 or 4 days worth of like bombing from Iran, and they're out of interceptors. So
that's what they're doing. That's why they want this ceasefire.
This is a 2-week ceasefire, so they can build that back up.
So then how long does it take to create an interceptor?
So they only make what was it? It was around 50. I can't remember the exact normal, but we only have the capacity to make about 50 of them a year. Apparently, it's way harder to make an interceptor than it is a missile. A missile, you just plug in the coordinates and go, and it goes there. An interceptor has like heat seeking in the tip, and it has to find the missile and lock onto it, and it's way more complicated of a thing. So traditionally, it was about 50 interceptors a year, and we've gone through hundreds of them, like probably over 1,000 of them so far in this conflict. So just to rebuild our stockpile to what it was will take a couple decades to get back to the amount of interceptors. And we're pulling our interceptors out of Taiwan, South Korea, Europe. We're pulling them out of everywhere to try to defend Israel. We're leaving ourselves vulnerable to attacks, and it's just frustrating.
Big time. It kind of shows how weak we are at this point.
Yeah. That's all I got for tonight. Pray for peace on Saturday.
Pray for peace.
Yeah. And if we don't have peace, we should arrest the Pope and make him be on our side. And torture him just a little bit.
No, leave the Pope alone, man.
That's why we both have to go back and read about this thing in the 1300s where France arrested the Pope and made him move to France. That's a very fascinating point of history that I knew nothing about till today.
Yeah, I mean, I took a tour of the Vatican, and I don't remember them talking about that at all.
Probably something they don't talk about much.
Probably
but it
not.
happened. So, anyhow, I'm going to miss you, buddy. I'll see you in a couple days, and pray for peace on Saturday.
Peace, like, and subscribe.
Yeah, buddy.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.